Every year, we set goals for ourselves. In the first couple of days, we're doing really well in sticking to our plan. As time passes and things come up, it becomes challenging to stick to the plan. And when we reflect at the end of the year, we come to see that we haven't really made much progress on our goal. And we think to ourselves, next year, it's going to be different. Does this sound familiar to you? How can you break this cycle? I believe it starts from building better habits. Let's take a look at what are habits. You may define it as things that you do over and over again, and sometimes without thinking about them. Author James Clear defines it as small decisions you make and actions you perform every day. This definition frames it in a way that gives autonomy and control back to the individual. When habits are small decisions you make and actions you perform, it means you have the conscious choice to make or not make those decisions and actions, which can lead to different results. Now, let's take a look at how habits are formed so that we can break the cycle to make different decisions and take different actions. We'll use an example to illustrate this. An individual stays up late, even though they know the next day it may cause them fatigue or impact their focus or performance. Let's take a look at the habit loop to understand what is causing this behavior and how to possibly change it. The habit loop consists of routine, cue, and reward. Staying up late would be the routine, an action or behavior that one keeps doing over and over again. To understand why one keeps making the decision to stay up late, we need to look at what do they get out of staying up late. In another word, what is the immediate reward they get from the behavior? In addition to the reward, we also need to understand the cues. So, what triggers the behavior? For example, is it when the person is feeling stressed or bored? Sometimes our triggers may not be apparent. One way to find our triggers is to write them down. When you are exhibiting this behavior, write and examine the following factors. Where are you? What time is it? What is your emotional state? What other people are involved? What actions, if any, precede the behavior? Let's refer back to our example of staying up late. After a couple of days of writing down and analyzing their cues, they realized their cue was talking to friends between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. about video games, which led them to play, and they're encouraged to keep playing with every level unlocked. Now, knowing the cues, what if the individual made a decision to talk about something else with their friends or perform a different task around the same time? They can test out different cues and see which one gets a different result. Other than changing our cues, we can also change our reward to reinforce or change a habit. Now that we understand our habit loop, let's take a look at how we can build better habits. We'll offer the following concepts for consideration. Prioritize one habit at a time. According to a study published in the Journal of Neuroscience, it found that paying attention can impact how our brain allocates its energy. Our brain uses more energy to process what we pay attention to, meaning less energy is supplied to the processing what is outside our attention focus. Changing habits or building new habits sometimes require mental focus. Imagine when you have multiple habits you want to change or build, along with everything else that you need to deal with every day. You are diverting your brain's limited processing capacity, which may be ineffective. Why not try focusing on one habit at a time? And once you've mastered that habit, you can move on to the next one. Oftentimes, we have the motivation to build better habits like going to the gym, eating healthy, and spending less time using digital devices. But it always seems like motivation is not enough. How come? Researcher Shawn Achor provided some insight that can help with this. Oftentimes, we rely on willpower to change or develop a habit. However, our willpower is a limited resource, especially after a long day. Instead of relying on willpower, let's make it easier to start the habit with a concept called the 20-second rule. It is minimizing the activation energy required to 20 seconds or less for you to engage in the habit. For example, if a bowl of chips was right in front of you, and all you had to do was reach out to eat it, the likelihood of you eating it, and eating a lot of it, is high. However, if the same amount of chips in the bowl was divided into 10 bags, and you had to open each bag to eat it, you're more likely to think about whether you want to open the bags to eat the chips. From this, we can understand the importance of creating an environment that supports your habit. For habits you want to change or build, minimize your activation energy. And for habits you want to stop, increase the activation energy required.
I'll give an example from my personal life. I learned to play the violin when I was young and have wanted to practice it more. However, every time I wanted to practice, I would have to take it out of my closet, set up the music stand, bring out the music books, open the violin case, and tune the violin. Every step in that process was a decision point and required added energy and effort. I decided to lessen the number of decision points I would have to make by setting up my violin in the corner of my room, along with the music stand already set up. This way, I require less energy to pick up the violin and play, and made it more convenient. As a result, I was able to increase the number of times I played my violin, from a couple times a year to at least once a week. Think about a habit you want to build, and how you can create an environment to make it more convenient to harbor the habit. Additionally, consider recruiting an accountability partner, someone who can motivate you to build your habit. For instance, if you and a friend are both interested in taking a class, sign up together, because knowing someone is in it with you, you're more likely to stick it through. Another thing you can do to support your habit is to track your progress visually, like marking it on a calendar. Lastly, we can't forget an important part of the habit loop, which is the reward. Every time you persist through a habit and make progress, give yourself a little reward. Tying your habit to a reward can help solidify your habit.
To recap, here are the tools to help you build better habits. First, prioritize your habit one at a time to help your brain bring focus to the habit. Second, build an environment to help you start your habit more easily. And lastly, reward your progress and achievement. If you feel this video is helpful for you to change or build your habits, please share or like and subscribe to our channel. Our mission is to share knowledge with you to go beyond yourself.